All right, Lily. All right, Tate. We found all 10 kittens. So I guess that means that our walk around the zoo is over and it's time to go back home and maybe, talk to Chips about moving out to that little farm I was thinking about, Tate. Selling the family zoo and moving out to a farm and maybe, starting over in a place that has less expectations and I don't let as many people down and maybe people won't be so serious about just, the slow pace of life and I don't know. To be honest, Lily, I really have loved looking at the whole zoo again. I mean, yeah, there's more projects than I could ever manage to complete at once, but that's half of the glory. There's so much to do in the zoo, Lily? But, I mean, isn't that true of the whole world? The world is such a big place, Tate. There's so many things to see and so many adventures to go on. And I mean, it's always changing. And I guess if the world was so easy that you could just go on one big adventure and cover everything, I just don't know if it'd be that interesting. And I don't know what I'm saying. Look, I don't know, puppies. Is it right for me to want to stay here and continue to build the zoo? Even if I may not always do it in the most logical way? Even if I wander around and end up plucking mushrooms half the time? I guess it depends on what the zoo is supposed to be for. And I guess I'm not really sure about that answer anymore. Alright, Lily, come on. Come on, Tate. I guess it's time to go back and see what Chips is up to and, let them know that we found all 10 of the kittens. I sent all those pictures to Erica. Come on, you two. I know you can make it up over the bridge. Or, well, I guess it's a gate and not a bridge, but... Good girl, Lily. Good girl. Or good boy, Tate. We made it. I mean, I guess there's signs everywhere. Make a pretty cave garden. I guess half the problem is I'm just never really sure what I should be working on, and people always seem to have different expectations of that, but you know what, maybe the answer is just to do what makes me happy. Sometimes people tell me that, and I always worry, oh, there's so many little mushrooms here. I always worry about it, but alright, you know what? Tate, be careful, we are at the edge of a cliff. Lily, sit. There we go. You know what, I do love this zoo. There's more in it than I could ever manage to do all at once, and I think that it's going to just kind of be this amazing collection of a whole bunch of unfinished adventures, but I wonder if that's okay. Maybe, Tate, it's not so much about the destination, it's not so much about making a whole bunch of entertaining spots or entertaining tales for people to enjoy. Maybe it's not so much about what we accomplish, but how we accomplish it. Maybe it's about the journey of just doing our best to create, Lily. I don't know. Let's go talk to Chips. I mean, I had told him we were going to sell the zoo, so maybe he's already packing. I'm pretty sure that's why he wanted me out of the house for so long. Well, I mean, I say that, but he wanted me to go search for those kittens. Hello, Tata the Peafowl. It's good to see you again. Oh, geez, and wow, my garden got really overgrown. Has it really been that long since I've been in there taking care of it? Tate, Lily, seeing the garden... Here, you two actually hang out in the puppy play yard for just a second. I might have to have a really difficult conversation with Chips about, selling the family zoo. I mean, just look at that. There's so much I have been neglecting to do. There's so many things that we need to build. And I will say though, Lily, it does feel good because a few months ago, seeing all these overgrown plants in the garden would have just made me feel overwhelmed, but now I just kind of want to roll up my sleeves and start plucking them up. Huh. Well, I don't know. Let's go talk to Chips about this. Maybe he'll give me some clarity on what I should do, or I don't know. Can I really even call myself a zookeeper anymore? Darling, there's plants on the ceiling and people here. Hello, and cake. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of cake. That is a lot of cake. This one even has little candles and strawberries on it. And there's a banana split. Oh my gosh, darling, what's going on? There's a beautiful carpet and you're clearly talking to like this researcher person, and there's one of the little mini yous still on the table. Explorer Matthias, researcher Catherine, a wildlife rescuer Jim. Wildlife rescuer. Oh my gosh. Are these the people who are gonna buy the zoo from us? Darling, what's going on? Welcome back. So how was the tour of the entire zoo? Still feel like you've not done anything over the last few years, after it took you nearly 2 weeks to walk through all the places you built one block at a time? Darling, how did you know I would have to search the whole zoo? I mean, you sent me out there saying there were just a bunch of missing kittens. They could have all been in the same place, right? Let's just say a little kitten, or a few little kittens, told me you'd be gone for a while. Which is good. It took longer than I expected to bake the cake for your party. My party? Wait, hang on. A cake and a party? You know my birthday isn't until March, right? He laughs. Yes, I know it isn't your birthday. That was last year, right? But seriously, Seri, welcome home. And I really hope that now that you've seen the entire zoo again, and have seen what you've built, what you've done, the adventures you've gone on, the experiments you've tried and failed, the trees that still stand to represent friendships that faded into the past, and the places just waiting for you to dive in with those seeds and imagination to get the new gardens for the future going. I really hope I can also say welcome home to Zoodesia. You've missed the zoo, and it's missed you. I know you feel like you've not done enough, and I know you got overwhelmed with what people wanted out of your adventures. But you know what? You can't control what other people want from you, or think about you. You can only control how you feel about what you do, what you want to do. Zoodesia wasn't built to be an amusement park for other people, Seri. It was built to be a home for the joy and awe you saw in the world around you. Sure, not everyone will like how you built it. Not everyone will be caught up in the simple things. Not everyone will be like you. But why does that matter? If you're happy being yourself. Because it's that happy version of yourself who built all of this. And it's that happy version, not the one caught up in the fear of being interesting enough for other people, who shove their expectations for how you should fill up their boredom for them, who is overflowing with dreams to build more. I know it. Whoa, darling, where's this all coming from? I know you've been watching me for months, and you know how much I've missed Zoodesia and how confused I got when people started showing up and saying the terrible B word, that it was boring. And I know you've been watching as I've struggled so hard to figure out how to reclaim a place that was a home for my heart when so many things were going on in the physical realm, and this has been a place that I used to be able to draw so much comfort from until I started getting so worried that people would become bored of it, or it had to become a source of entertainment for other people. I know you've been watching all of that, but haven't things changed? I mean, maybe the zoo started as a home for my own heart, but didn't it end up becoming something that deserves the expectations people keep putting on it? He laughs and shakes his head. I'm just saying what you already know, and we both know it. You know? He laughs again. You were so happy when we first met, and you were still building up this zoo for the very first time. I know you can be that happy again. It just got really popular. And that is pressure, I get it. But everyone knows the pressure to conform to something popular. You can't escape being a kid without it, right? Not to mention high school. But if you're going to think about other people while you create, Seri, what do you really want to teach them? How to bend to conforming to other people's ideas of what popularity is, or what your adventures should be like? How to give in to the idea that if something isn't popular, it isn't good enough? All of us already feel those messages all the time. Or are you going to show them the amazing things you can build when you follow your own heart? Darling, I mean, I know everyone says to follow your heart and that you should just do what makes you happy, but it's really scary because sometimes when you do that, you're worried you're going to end up all alone, that people won't understand, that they'll call the things that you love and the way that you love to do them boring, or ridicule them, or be angry at you and you won't even know why. Following your heart's scary, even though I know it shouldn't be. Of course it is. People think following your heart is easy, but it isn't, especially when you do it where people can see you and they can shout about how much you suck. That's why so few people actually have the courage to do it. but enough serious talk. I've got some people I want you to meet, and a cake I want to eat. As usual, you lead me halfway there with your philosophical conversations, and then don't give me an answer. You, my love, are definitely a very good professor. Definitely a very good professor. Alright, but I guess there's people you want me to meet, and I guess that whole speech, if I am gonna follow my heart, I guess the truth of the matter is, sometimes when you do that, even though everyone says it's the right thing to do, even though there's a huge part of you that goes, yes, 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 it's the right thing to do, it is more scary than you anticipate. And just because it's scary doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do. And following your heart may not be popular. But somehow thinking about that, darling, it just makes me want to run outside and start gardening. So I think there's definitely a better sense of freedom to following your heart, even if it is scary. But you're right, enough serious talk. I've been thinking too seriously for months now, and this cake looks absolutely delicious, so I'm actually gonna have a few slices of it, thank you very much. And then there's some people that you want me to meet. Alright, how about wildlife rescuer Jim? Hello? Ha! As if I could follow up a speech that serious. Anyway, nice to meet you, Zookeeper Seri. I'm Jim, one of the wildlife rescue rangers. Look, I'll keep things simple. Are you still going to show up to help rescue wildlife or not? Wait, I mean, of course I would. I've been busy and there's been a lot going on. Well, okay, I haven't been busy. I've just been kind of depressed and really overwhelmed. But look, if there's wildlife that needs rescued, I mean, of course I would show up and help. Really? Jim lifts an eyebrow and smiles. That's good to hear, because from what I've heard, you've not added a new animal into this zoo in ages. But yes, yammer, I've heard all the reasons why. But lucky for you, the past doesn't matter a flying fig compared to what you're going to do now with your own two hands today. Because ready or not, right now is the moment that help is needed. That's the way of the world. So, what I really need to know isn't what you've done or plan to do or how you're thinking. I need to know if you're here, with me, today, present, and ready for wildlife rescue action. Okay, take the dive. That's blunt, but I'm in, even though my instincts scream that if I make a list, I can completely distract myself and procrastinate on actually doing things. But I'm in. Great! I find being blunt works best. We've got enough work to do without dallying around making decisions. Bluntness and quick action are like a nice bracing dive into a cold waterfall. You might flail around a little bit, but once you make the jump, the current will keep you moving. Or, you might drown. But I'll try not to overwhelm you with tasks just yet. We'll start simple. I have a snow leopard moving into your zoo as soon as you finished up setting up a decent holding exhibit for her. Simple? Wait, we're gonna start simple? And, how is a snow leopard simple? Ha! It is simple because it's the animal that needs our help next. Why make things more complicated than that? I've got a female snow leopard who was injured during a habitat dispute between some ranchers. She probably can't be released into the wild again with her bad leg, so she needs somewhere to go. And I've heard you have some prime habitats just waiting for animal occupation, including some snowy mountain bits that'd be perfect for her. So, what do you say? Ready to join the Wildlife Rescue Guild and get to action? After the cake and party, that is. This is really good cake. Wait, okay. Yes, it is good cake. I would still like more slices, but the Wildlife Rescue Guild? Okay, I'm gonna admit that sounds really amazing. I keep thinking I haven't done enough to deserve being part of it, but, dive into a cold waterfall. I could probably do that. Jim flashes a huge grin. Yep, the Wildlife Rescue Guild. I'm one of the leaders. We've got shiny badges and everything you can earn too, depending on what kind of animals you'll help us out with, how many types of habitats, rescue missions, and all that. I'd tell you more, but, well, if I start in on talking about our badges and ranks, I know Matt here is going to interrupt and go on and on about his adventure guild. Do you know they've been trying to recruit you for 1.5 years? Apparently, Matt got distracted by side adventures on the way and got here just as the rest of us did. Anyway, don't sweat the details. I know you're getting back into things, so we won't rush too much, but once you get that snow leopard habitat up and she's in her new home, we can talk about how we'll deliver new animals to you, and maybe even sending you out on some animal rescue missions. Oh, all right, Matthias, I can see you're glowering for your turn. Go on, but don't distract her from our wildlife rescues with your tales of grand adventures. Whoa, okay. Dive into a cold waterfall and build a snow leopard exhibit. Darling, I have spent so much time worrying that I wouldn't be able to do this, but you know what? Gosh, Jim, you're very inspirational. I've got my own two hands. I'm sure I've got a pickaxe. In fact, right there, I've got a pickaxe right there, just ready to go. And I do have a perfect spot that I could put a snow leopard. Oh, my cherry trees are in the way. Way over there. See? Snow. Snow for the snow leopard. Oh, okay. Maybe I can do this after all, but you set up this wonderful party for me, darling, so let me go ahead and finish introducing myself to everyone. Explorer Matthias, I believe that I was asked for it to be your turn next, maybe? Sort of, I think? Matt glowers at Jim for a moment, looking prim. Adventures are not a distraction. They are a vital part of the very spirit of life. When else do we truly know ourselves than when we face the unknown and feel everything but the parts that are truly us fall away? Unfamiliar environments and unknown rewards are the proving grounds for the true heart and resilience of anyone. So they are vital, not distractions. Matt coughs and blushes slightly. Though it did take me a lot longer to get here than I expected, Adventurer Seri, I will admit. But I assure you, the adventures I went on were quite fulfilling and thus a worthwhile endeavor. But, it is nice to finally be here and have a chance to meet you. Hi? Adventurer Seri? Everyone usually calls me Zookeeper Seri. Matt beams a smile. Of course, after all, you are an adventurer as well, Seri. I find that people can be many things. In fact, that is almost required for a true wild adventurer to survive. Yes, you are known throughout this land as a zookeeper, but tales of your adventures have also reached us at the Adventurer Guild. I was sent to formally invite you to join our ranks. Well, wild adventures? What does the Adventurer Guild do exactly? Matt chuckles and shakes his head. It isn't really about what an adventurer does, as it is about the spirit and how they do it. Our guild members include masters who have gone adventuring into hidden temples and ruins in other worlds, as well as adventurers who simply live the spirit of adventure through teaching children or seeking new edges in how they tell stories at their local theaters. True, most adventurers prefer the traditional route of tossing a backpack on their shoulders and setting out the door for lands unknown. But the spirit of adventure is so much more than that. So, what do you want from me then? Well, to be honest, we were hoping you'd be interested in some of the more traditional spirit of adventure, setting out to map new lands, exploring new worlds, and reporting back with all the discoveries you find. You've proven quite adept at exploring for hidden treasures that others overlook in the past. The many plants, unusual animals, unique landscapes. And, well, with the worlds becoming easier and easier to travel between, and fantastic new realms opening up, we're hoping you'd be willing to take on many of these adventures. And, like Jim mentioned, we do have quite the array of badges and ranks to reward those who climb up our ranks. Are you bribing me with shiny things? I mean, look, Explorer Matt, this sounds amazing, but if I'm going to actually be here again, and I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to seek out following my heart, I have to admit, there's a snow leopard that needs to be taken care of, and that is definitely where, I guess, my own spirit of adventure, you could say, needs to go first. Of course, part of a good adventure is knowing when to set out, after all. We can talk more later. The guild has many reports and suggestions they want to offer, and I have been told you're quite interested in learning more about the various metals that can be collected. But first, this is really good cake. so perhaps I'll enjoy some more of it. Plus, I do believe, Matt glances to the side and blushes. That researcher Catherine has been waiting to speak to you for quite some time now. Thank you, Explorer Matt. Part of when you get really sad is that you think the adventures are over, and you think that you'll never have that feeling of excitement again. So knowing that there's more out there, that if I just move my own 2 feet and maybe try going on those adventures, that really is encouraging. Though, like, wildlife rescuer Jim did say, there are some snow leopards that need help right now that I'm really kind of beginning to realize I'm honored to try to help with. Wow. All right. Well, researcher Catherine, I should probably talk to you before all this cake is gone. So, how are you? Researcher Catherine looks up, startled, with her mouth full of chocolate cake. Oh, my turn? Just a second. This cake is fantastic. I really need to get the recipe. Maybe I can whip some up in the lab while I run reports. Anyway, nice to meet you. I'm researcher Catherine. You can call me Kat if you'd like. And, I was wondering, well, would you mind if I could perhaps set up a teeny tiny multi-story laboratory on your property? A lab? We have one downstairs, actually. My labyrinth. It's a labyrinth made into a lab. And I've been meaning to expand it lately, but there's actually several lab chickens and many other researchers down there already. Oh, yes! I had a brief tour, and oh my gosh, I got to meet the researcher cat Bella herself. I thought I was going to faint right there in the lab, and not because of the fumes this time. I was going to ask her to sign my periodic table, but Iverson himself chased me out of the lab before I could. It was amazing. But it's such an awesome lab that, perhaps for my studies, it would be fantastic. More than fantastic, it'd be kind of a dream, really. If I could pretty please set up a small research station, or 2, or 20, around the zoo, a safe distance from the actual lab, perhaps. And not that I plan on doing anything too dangerous, much, but just to be safe, in case of the explosions and all that. Explosions? Not big ones, usually, just messy ones. I'm pretty sure I'm still getting that blue slime out of my hair. Let me know if you see blue highlights, will you? Anyway, the thing is, I would love to do research here, Seri. This is one of the coolest places in all the world of Zudesia, and it's full of resources and nice people, and one of the most famous classical labs out there, not to mention the cake. I know you aren't down there with the research chickens too often, but I promise you the results are amazing. Or, well, would be amazing if we had a few more resources and could run a few more tests. Are you still eating the cake? Well, okay. Look, what kind of test are you talking about? You're right. I've not been down in the labyrinth for a long time, so I'm not exactly sure what all of the research chickens are getting up to. Oh, wonderful ones. That's actually why the research chickens let me come, I think. They've got so many ideas. They just, need someone with thumbs to be able to put them together. And maybe some safe stations not quite built next to their home. But I promise it'd be worth it. They've drafted up ideas for amazing things, like new portals to different worlds. That'd be wonderful for your adventures, or even your animal rescues, right? And experiments with capturing clouds in bottles, new species of chickens that lay diamonds, and the most awesome-looking recipe for hot chocolate. Just, the chickens need someone with thumbs, that's me, and some resources, and a place to try out all these different ideas. But I think it'd totally help you with your work here in the zoo. I mean, who couldn't use some hot chocolate while they work, right? I mean... sure, I suppose. I'm kind of curious how you speak to my chickens, but now that you point it out, I could see why they may have recruited a new researcher, and it makes a lot of sense if they do have some new research that they want to do to help the zoo. And maybe setting up some stations away from the house would be a good idea. Catherine looks up, her mouth full of cake again. Wonderful! I promise it'll be worth it, Zookeeper Seri. I know you're going to be really busy with the zoo and all, and adventures in this, amazing chocolate cake. But if you've ever, got some time or interest or, some spare chocolate, you just talk to me and I'll be able to share some of the new experiments the lab is up to. Together, we can totally add so much to Zudesia and only blow it up a little bit, I promise. Oh my goodness, all right. Well, thank you, Catherine. It's good to know that my research chickens have a new assistant. And wildlife rescuer Jim, the snow leopard. You're right. It doesn't do well to dwell on the past and dwell on whether or not you should, could, or want to do something if you know that it's the right thing that you do want to do, I suppose. Less thinking, more action, more jumping. I got it. And darling, thank you so much for all of this. Throwing this party, having a whole bunch of people come, reminding me of the spirit of adventure and discovery, and that, yeah, it is freaking scary to follow your heart. People may not like it sometimes, and they may use the terrible B word and still say I'm boring, but you're right. Why does it matter? Following your heart, in the end, it is the only true reward. So thank you. But all right, let's go ahead and eat some cake and then get back to work because there is so much to do in the zoo.